Picture the exhaustion of early parenthood. You are up at 2 in the morning, holding an infant who cannot crawl, point, or speak. In that quiet room, it is easy to look down at their small face and wonder, is the child in your arms a blank slate waiting to be written on, or do they arrive already equipped with a ticking moral compass? For decades, science had no real way to answer that question. Developmental psychologists hit a wall because you cannot interview a subject who does not have any words. Eventually, researchers realized they did not need language. They could observe intent by watching the body. They designed experiments to track exactly where an infant's eyes lingered and which objects their tiny hands tried to reach for. Finding a way to read the pre-verbal mind gave scientists a tool to test humanity's oldest philosophical debate. They could finally look for the starting line of human nature. This animated setup shows how they tested it. A shape struggles to climb a steep hill, illustrating effort. Then, a helper shape nudges the climber up from below. Another shape, a hinderer, shoves it back down. Babies watched this play out multiple times. Then came the crucial moment. A researcher held out the helper and the hinderer to 6-month-old infants to see which one their hands would reach for. This bar chart displays the stunning initial result. An overwhelming majority of infants chose the helper. But swap the climber for a lifeless block and the preference disappears. Infants responded to social intent, not just upward motion. Researchers pushed the age limit even lower, testing 3-month-old infants. At an age where they cannot reliably grab a toy, the babies still stared significantly longer at the helpful character. The data hit the public sphere rapidly. The results challenged the blank slate theory, generating global headlines suggesting babies arrive with a pre-installed sense of good and evil. Science rarely stops at a perfectly clean answer. A complication emerged when researchers started testing whether it mattered who was receiving the help. They ran a new experiment where babies first chose a snack they preferred, like graham crackers or green beans. The infants then watched characters who either shared their taste in food or rejected it. This logic diagram maps out the reactions. If a character liked the same food, the baby preferred the helper. But follow this path here. If the character liked the opposite food, the baby actually reached for the hinderer. They liked watching the character who disagreed with them get shoved down the hill. This behavior points toward a primitive form of tribal justice. The infants were showing a distinct desire to see the outgroup punished. These findings reveal an infant mind that is actively sorting the social world into categories of like me and unlike me, a far cry from a simple little angel. There was also a structural vulnerability fighting in those early studies. They relied on small sample sizes. In the complex field of developmental psychology, data from small groups of infants can look conclusive while actually remaining quite fragile. To find the ground truth, this map shows the scale of the 2025 Many Babies Project. Dozens of global teams joined forces to run the exact same puppet experiment on more than 1,000 infants, building a massive dataset. This pie chart shatters that certainty. Across the global test group, the preference for the helper vanished. A perfect 50-50 split means pure chance. In this massive sample, the babies were simply grabbing whichever toy happened to be closer, brighter, or easier to reach. The largest, most careful test ever run failed to find the innate moral compass described in earlier studies. The data suggested the early results were a flicker rather than a flame, refocusing the conversation on how babies actually process social information. This scientific correction does not mean the infant watching you is emotionally hollow. Infants act as hypersensitive observers of the social world, a role far more complex than that of a simple moral judge. Infants track patterns of human behavior. They closely monitor who is warm, who is rough, and who offers comfort, soaking up social cues with the same primal focus that other animals use to track sense. This biological sensitivity provides the essential foundation for morality, even if the concepts of good and evil are not present from the start. Think about the alternative. If human morality was permanently fixed at birth, parents would simply be passive bystanders waiting for destiny to unfold. Instead, a sense of right and wrong grows through thousands of tiny, daily exchanges between a baby and their caregivers. It builds every time you respond to a cry. It forms when they watch you stay patient during a stressful moment, or when you show gentleness to a family pet. You are the ongoing puppet show. A baby learns what it means to be kind by continually studying the person they trust the most.